All right. Hello, everyone. Today is July 6th, and this is the CABSI office hours. As a reminder, CABSI is a subproject of SIG Cluster Lifecycle, and we follow the CNCF Code of Conduct. So please just be respectful to everyone. And if you'd like to speak, please raise your hand on Zoom, and I will make sure you get a chance to speak. All right. So it's been a while since I've been here. Let's see. We always like to start by giving a chance to anyone who's new to this meeting and hasn't joined before to say hello and just introduce themselves if they'd like. So I will pause, and if you'd like to say hello, this is your chance, and tell us a bit about why you're here.
Hi, ma'am. My name is Robert-Michon, and I am a beginner to this whole thing, Kubernetes, and contributing to its open source in Kubernetes. I have joined this meeting to get to know about the structure better, and I hope that I'd get a better idea of things and perhaps find a few mentors over here.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions at any point during the meeting.
Sure, ma'am.
All right. I don't think there's anyone else, but I will pause just in case. Right. Okay, let's get right into it. There's a few PSAs. I'm guessing, Matt, you added those. Do you want to cover those?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fairly self-explanatory. There were a few fixes that went into 194 and 186. And we don't have any cherry picks after that, so we probably won't do a patch release this week. And yeah, that's basically the content.
Great, thanks. Awesome. I saw there was some, just one quick question. There was some chat in Slack yesterday about reconciling or AKS clusters keeping reconcile. Is this related to this fix or is that different?
I'm not entirely sure. It looked like it was different, but I haven't dug in, so it's possible. They were talking about, I think that was relating to the Jack's PR, which is just in main at this point, but I'm not positive because it does semantically overlap with this.
John, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that is a separate issue. I think there's two separate issues causing reconciles. So that's one of them. And then I think there's another fix in the works for the other one.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions or comments on the patch releases? Okay, and I think this should be our last 1.8 patch release, right? Because we are, or the penultimate, I guess, since we're nearing 110 at this point, which we'll check in on, I guess, at the end when we go to milestone. All right, and I think we already covered this one as well. Cool. There's not much on the agenda right now. Did folks have, I added this one last item. I thought we could maybe check in on what's going on with CAPI 1.4. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to chat about or anything they want to bring up before we get into that? Matt?
I guess the only other thing that comes to mind is the Windows tests all cratered for a few days and have recovered. And so I'm curious if we think that's fixed or what we know about it. But I guess Mark is not here, so maybe we don't know.
Yeah. I don't think we know what happened exactly, but you're right that it did recover. So yeah, Matt's talking about the release informing test for SIG Windows that was read for a while since last week. And I think my theory is that there are two separate issues because it seemed like the error changed before and after the 194 release. So I think the last few days or the last 24 hours before yesterday, it was the missing image probably because it was failing to init altogether. And you know that there was like a period of time where the image wasn't available.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that probably caused the issue. And then, although it would have been on the release branch, so yeah, actually, I don't know.
No, I think that makes sense because did, uh, what I accidentally did was I finalized the release on GitHub before we'd merged the PR. So there was a window there where perhaps Cluster Cuddle was seeing that we had a new release.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's probably what happened for at least some amount of that time.
Yeah, but I think we're using the release branch, right? We're not using a release, like a GitHub release for those
Oh, really?
tests.
Oh,
But yeah, I don't know.
okay.
But yeah, it's green now. I don't know if you have the link handy, we can check on it, but it seems to have recovered. So it might have been something environmental unrelated to the
Sure.
CABZ test itself.
Well, I mean, I'm happy they're green, but it'd be great
Yeah.
to know what happened. I'll
Mhm.
post a link to the test in here.
Cool. All right. So yeah, so I just wanted to check in with you, Matt, actually, to see what's going on with the kind updates. Like, because you posted in the PR that there's some issue with it, and then um I ran into the same issue in a separate pipeline that seems related, but I was wondering if what you knew so far, what you
I,
needed to do for that.
as far as I know, it boils down to uh, the new Docker version requirement that you identified. I think. I just remember on uh, last CAPI meeting, they were talking about how it was a really bumpy transition to this version of Docker, and that seems like the only breaking change. But I haven't had time to look at it. I'm hoping to today.
Cool. Yeah, so I checked the Docker version and it seemed okay actually. So the Docker
Oh
version
yeah,
seems to be what we need.
maybe we
But I'm
need to
not sure
update the
about the
node images.
second one. There's
Yeah,
something about the OS version that you're using that but
yeah.
yeah.
You need Kubernetes if it's Kubernetes one. Uh, if it's Ubuntu 22.04, then it's
Hmm.
C groups v2. Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, it's one of these two bullet points most likely.
Yeah. But the CAPI tests or the CAPI end-to-end tests are green, so
Yeah, they
it's
figured it
working.
out, and at the time
But
in the
we
CAPI meeting,
okay.
I didn't realize this was going to cascade to us, so I need to backtrack and maybe pick Fabrizio's brain. But probably there's a paper trail in the PRs
Okay.
that we can follow.
Sounds good. Let me know what you find because I'd be interested to know for that other test that's failing unrelated to this.
We'll do.
Thanks. All right, anyone got anything to add on this one or any questions? All right, any other discussion items, topics, anything people want to chat about? All right. What so at the end of the meeting we usually go over either issue review or milestone review or PR triage. I think at this point it makes sense for us to go over the milestone since we're the week before the release, unless anyone has any objections. Okay. All right, so we had said July 11th for this next one is the target date. So that puts us at next week. So we're very, very close. So I think anything that's not merged or about to merge probably needs to go to the next milestone at this point. So I think we'll do that exercise. I don't know if this is repetitive of last week or would does that seem useful use of our time? Matt?
Yes, I think so. Last week we went over the same territory, but we weren't at that point brave enough to throw everything overboard. But I think the time has come.
Okay. All right. Well, since you're Or yeah, since you're here, first one is yours, I think, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that you're assigned. So
yes.
that was the bug that came out of the, right?
Mhm.
The SDK v2.
Right. It's not an active bug because we reverted the change, but this is
Okay.
the placeholder for everything we want to do, and it's not going to happen for this release at this point. Although I'm still working on it. Long story short, Ashutosh's workload ID PR still has a fighting chance of being merged, and he's put some auth related stuff in there that I actually didn't. I wanted to prioritize that first, but also they kind of trample on the same territory, so I backed off of this a little bit. Is my excuse.
Okay, cool. Is the revert is part of the issue, right? So that should be,
It probably is referenced in there.
okay. I will move this to next for now, in that case. All right. This next one, I don't think anyone ever looked at it. That was a transient failure that we had observed in the logs that is still marked as help wanted. So unless anyone knows anything about it, I'm gonna move that one to next as well. All right. So this is the big one. That's the workload identity. So how feasible is it for that one to merge? I don't think Ashutosh is here, but Matt, do you know?
I had a couple comments that he addressed this morning, and he pushed some new unit tests. Personally, I think it's ready to go, except that there's quite a few places CodeCov identifies, hey, we could write a unit test here, and I kind of agree with it, but I'm not sure I want to slow things down by adding a bunch of rote unit tests. Other than that, I'm LGTM on the PR, but we should obviously have other people look at it ideally.
I think Anish at LGTM did already, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have that as well. How do we feel about merging this big change right before the release? How risky is it? Is it impacting default behaviors or is it still behind a opt-in?
It's going to change the defaults for some stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess that's something that I'm a bit concerned about. David?
I was just going to kind of say that I think that in this particular case, since the pod identity is deprecated and there's also other issues with pod identity, at least with the AKS add-on stuff, I would really vote to merge versus the risk thing because there's already issues kind of where we are in a not the best state not having it. So I'd rather roll forward and fix something if we have to. So yeah, that's all.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think it's still like configurable, right? Matt, like I'll take a look at the PR after this and try to look at it from this angle, especially.
Yes, it is. It's still, it doesn't become the default for everything, and it's still configurable. But
Okay.
I think it is going to affect. Well, I'll take another look at it from that point of view.
Okay, sounds good. So for now, we leave it in the milestone and we try to merge it is the plan. All right. Cool.
I would just say, I mean, the question is how long do you want to wait for unit tests, right? Because it sounds like it's ready to merge now, but you're kind of holding out for unit tests. So that's, I think, right?
It's waiting for review approval, which one of the review comments were it's missing some unit tests. I think. Yeah. Is that correct, Matt?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, there's a bunch of places that CodeCov says, hey, these new lines are covered by unit tests, and it seems like it would be relatively straightforward to add unit tests for them, but it's a lot of work. It might take another day or two because there's quite a few places.
Do we have a way to open follow-up issues for unit tests? Yeah, I think that might.
We can always do that. Yeah.
So we can get it in the release, and I don't feel great about doing that, but in this case, given the deprecation, I understand that we're not trying to delay by another 2 months.
I'll suggest that we open. Yeah, we'll open an issue for missing unit tests.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, those missing unit tests could be also a great opportunity for someone trying to, get involved and contribute. I'm looking at you, Abdur. So just look out for those issues. All right, next one, ASO. Where are we on that one, John?
Yeah, so there's one more PR to close out that issue that's open and waiting review. So I'm hopeful that if we get reviews on that soon, we could get that merged before the release, but that doesn't bring any real functionality. So it wouldn't really matter whether or not it's in the next release or not.
Sorry, is that for this specific issue or is this like
Yeah, just
a
that issue.
bigger issue? Okay, got it. So do you want to keep it in the milestone at this point?
I would say yes.
Okay. Is the PR ready, just waiting for approval? Okay.
Well, it's waiting for review. I don't think it's gotten any
Waiting
comments yet.
for review. Yeah. Okay. Cool. What about this next one about resource tags?
Yeah, the tags one is queued up and ready for a PR, but I don't have a PR open for that yet. I don't remember if that like strictly depends on some of the stuff in that previous issue. But there would probably be merge conflicts either way. So I don't have a PR open for that yet. But that work is mostly done. And I'll open a PR as
Okay.
soon as that other PR merges.
I will advocate that we move it to next then. If it merges sooner, then great. It can be in the milestone, but I don't think it's reasonable to expect it to be in there since we have 2-3 days left at this point.
Yeah, that
and
makes
it's not
sense.
open. Okay. All right. ARM64 support. Okay, so the good news on that one is we have a new extension that supports ARM64 that's been published almost in all regions at this point. We're just waiting for the last gate. It's a very slow process, but we're getting there. The thing that we're missing at this point is testing with ARM64, and I don't know if Dane is here. No, he's not. We were hoping that he would share his config with us. I think I would say if we can get the extension bump merged in the release, that would be good. It's just a one number line change. That way the release will have that new extension and then we can like be able to use it for ARM64. But I'll sync with you, Willie, on that after this and see if we can. But yeah, I'm also okay to delay it with the next one, but since it's a one line change, I don't think it should be too difficult to get that merged in a few days. So yeah, is that controversial? Okay. The biggest part of the work is done, which was actually getting the extension support or published. All right. Next one is security rules getting deleted. Willie, how are we doing on that one?
Yeah, I've been working on an end-to-end test to get that merged. I think it's done now and it's ready for review. I think you took a look at it yesterday. I think I just needs one more review from John was looking at it and he just mentioned in the chat he'll take a look, so it should be ready to go.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So let's leave it in there. Bring your own network interface. Has anyone looked at this one recently? Since Dane is not here. Okay. It's yeah. Nawaz, go ahead.
Sorry, couldn't raise my hand in time. I did look at it, but I think it still needs a thorough review. Reviewing it end of the day, and then if it still needs more changes, then we could pull it out of the release. What do you say?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, it looks like that one slipped through the cracks. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I gave an initial review a while ago, but yeah, I think it'll be good to take another look, but I think someone else would need to take a look at it just for a more thorough pass.
Yeah. It's a pretty large PR, so I'm a little yeah, let's see what we can do, but what July 11th is what, Tuesday? Or yeah, Tuesday. So that basically leaves today, tomorrow, Monday. So that's yeah, it's a little tight, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Willie, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we should make just an effort to review this because it's been like open for a while and Dane has kind of been pushing for a review. So I think I'm not sure, but I think we have enough time just as a group effort to set aside some time for the PR. Because I don't think it'll be good to leave it open for so long and then push it to the next release without a review.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, all of these PRs that are left here are all, I think, qualified for that, where they're all really important that we want to get in. Just a matter of prioritizing. I would say, like, if all the reviewers, like the CABZ reviewers, can, assign themselves to one of the PRs, we can probably get this done. And try to crowdsource and divide and conquer. But yeah, we've gotten the list down, so that's great. We only have what, 8 at this point. But yeah. All right. Next one, the async skill set refactor. Jonathan, how realistic do you think it is to get it in the next 2-3 days?
I think it would be a bit of a stretch goal. The main thing is I'm really trying to push to get machine pool machines in on Tuesday, or I guess finished up by Tuesday, so that way we have one more day for buffer. I guess if that wraps up really quickly, I could probably go back and make another pass through there, but
Yeah, I think I would vote for pushing that to next. Just
Mhm.
because it's an extra large PR refactor, and
yeah.
again, merging a huge refactor right before releasing at the last hour doesn't seem like a great idea, especially since the PR still has lots of open comments that aren't resolved.
Mhm. Do you
Does that
think
sound good to you? If it gets in before, again, great. Like that doesn't mean we can't try to get it in, but at least the expectation's set.
Yeah. I guess, can I ask, is anyone waiting on this change for this next release? Or
No, I think this was mostly to simplify your work on Azure machine pool machines, right?
okay, yeah, sounds good. So
It
this
shouldn't have any user-facing effects. It's a refactor.
okay, yeah, so we can punt this one to the next ones pretty safely. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, and this is the same one, right? Yeah. That's the issue. All right. Last one, Nawaz, docs and tilt support for Azure Sinai.
So the docs and the tilt support, both of them are kind of related. I was taking a look at your comment yesterday that the cluster didn't come up right, but when I was running it, it did come up right. So I'm still trying to understand why the core DNS pods were waiting. So I'm not sure. I have the PR, but do we want to pull it out? I'd be fine. I think that'd be the first thing which would merge the next release though. So,
Is docs a separate PR, remind me, or is that in the
yeah,
same?
it's a separate PR, but it's kind of
Okay.
dependent on tilt. So if tilt works, then it's pretty much the same steps for the docs.
Got it. Could you please add them so they're linked here, so they show up in the linked PR?
Oh yeah, it's a little strange. I don't know why they don't show up. They are part of it.
Okay. I haven't looked at the docs one, but the tilt one looked very like almost ready to me. I was about to approve it, and then I thought I'd try to spin it up again, and then that's when I saw the core DNS pod not running. I'll try to give it another try today. Maybe I ran into a flake. I don't know. But I'll try to see if I can repro it again, and I'll let you know. Is the docs one does that one need review, or what's the status on that one?
The docs one. I think that needs a review too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at that one as well. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we have 6 open things that we want to try to get in by Tuesday or Monday, end of day, ideally. I think that's reasonable. It sounds like most of these are missing reviews. So if you have some, some bandwidth and you're able to help review some of these changes to prioritize them, to get them into the release, that'd be super appreciated. All right. Any questions, comments, anything else that's not in here that should be in here from the PRQ? Are we trying to get the CAPI bump in there as well, Matt?
I guess I am, since that's the first thing I'm doing today.
Okay.
But we don't strictly need to.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I'll leave it out of the milestone then.
If it's planning to merge before Monday, I mean, we should include it.
Well, it's blocked on the kind of data, so we don't really know when we'll be able to unblock
But we could
it.
ignore all that until after the release, and I could look at other things, I suppose. But let's put it in the release. I'm in the middle of looking at it, and presumably it's nothing huge.
All right, sounds good. All right, I'm just gonna scroll down. Stop me if you see anything that we should look at. All right. Anything else? Okay, if not, I think that's the end of our agenda for today. Any last minute questions, topics, comments? Matt?
This is only somewhat related, and obviously we have a lot of work to do, so I feel bad for distracting people. But since Image Builder is very closely related to Cluster API, I have a PR over there for Mariner support that seems to be working if anybody has time to look at it after we finish all these tasks.
Sounds good. Do you want to post that somewhere?
Yeah, let me put a link to it in the notes here.
All right, thanks. David?
Yeah, this is probably a discussion topic I should have added earlier, but there's the issue that I had on Slack a while back around having pod identity not work when you try to install the Flux extension. And so the hack is to actually add some exceptions to pod identity for the cube system namespace. And I'm curious if that's something we think we should consider, or if folks had looked into that more at all or not. Do you want me to pull up the link to it?
Yes, please. I don't really know what you're talking about. It would help to have something to look at.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have thoughts on this?
Okay, give me a second. No. Okay, well, I can just post up later. I'm just for some reason not finding the link
Okay.
right now.
It was an AD pod identity specific issue?
Yeah, so basically if you right now today, if you install cluster capz and on a cluster, and then you try to install the Flux extension, it will fail indefinitely.
Sorry, are you saying
and
an AKS cluster or?
yeah, if you install
Okay.
install CapZ on an AKS cluster, just
Okay.
vanilla AKS cluster, and then you install the Flux extension, it will fail 100% of the time. And that's due to, after many hours of troubleshooting, Matt and ASO actually found out, along with troubleshooting with the niche, that the way that we set up pod identity, the cluster extension apparently needs some exceptions so that it can have access to do the install for the extension. And so it's, I'm curious if it's, it's a workaround that works, but is it something that we think we should even put in to CapZ or not? Because you'd basically be putting that exception in for the way pod identity works for anyone who installs it for managed cluster.
How is it? I'm wondering, like, does it even make sense for us to like spend time on this, given that the PR to move to workload identity is about to merge in the next 2 days, hopefully?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the general topic. I think why I brought it up right now, because it's, that is how much, because is that going to continue to, pod identity is going to continue to be an option, right? Even after we merge this.
Right, but it's a deprecated option.
Deprecated, yeah.
And it seems like it's a very like edge case, like it's only if you're using CapZ on an AKS cluster and you install this specific extension, right? So I don't think most users would run into that. And there's a very good workaround, which is don't use the deprecated option anymore.
Okay.
I think if we document that limitation, that would be a good, like, for now, stopgap. Like, if it's a well-known issue, maybe we can document it on the AAD pod identity page in CapZ docs. Would you want to take that on?
Sure. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then if we do have a report of a user running into this, then maybe we can reconsider that. But so far it seems like we haven't really heard reports in the wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm curious if it's broader than just that extension or if it's others. But yeah, because it fails at the extension level. But yeah, I mean, how many people are installing CapZ on AKS cluster that are running certain extensions that use that? I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Fine. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. All right, thank you. That helps. Yeah.
All right. Unless there's anything else, I think that's the end of our call for today. All right. Thanks, everyone, and see you on Slack. Don't forget to review PRs if you have time. Thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye.